Hi, and welcome to the Roland Studio. Take 2 on this voiceover. I forgot I had my electronic plug in the phone, so it really messes up my audio, and I did not want that. So today I'm going to be sharing with you a project share and somewhat of a tutorial of how I am making my little garden beads / artisan beads. And this is just one style that I'm doing. This is a little rustic bauble bead that you can put in a chunky charm for your journals or your books, or even if you like to wear something a little more rustic, the minimalist stuff today, this would probably go really well with. But as you can see, the little clover leaf, the butterfly, the dragonfly, all those are hand painted by me, and all but the butterfly were created with resin pieces with this mold. I do have the gnomes and the little mushrooms, well, the big mushrooms, and so I couldn't use that in my beads, but unless I run them all the way around a bead, I suppose. But that's not what I created that for. I also have this small little seascape little mold for my beads. So here I've got a little bunch of seashells for some sea beads that I plan to make. But in the meantime, this is my little rustic insect garden. Call it a fairy garden bead. A little garden bead is what I'm calling it. I have used different inclusions. Here is the air dry clay. This was my test bead that I wanted to make. It was all done with pure air dry clay, and my clay was a little dry, so it was a little bulky, and it was also the prototype, but I kind of like it. It's bulky, it's free formed, and it's whimsical along with my little rustic bead, but you can see the size too, so they're a little more accurate in roundness on the little beads there. And I am rolling those in my hand, so every bead is going to be different. I didn't bring my little bead maker that keeps it at a certain millimeter, but I think this one probably is about a 22 to a 25 millimeter on the big bulky one, and the little one's probably more like an 18 millimeter round. I had fun making these, but I made them with this resin, and as you can see, it's rough in my truck. If I don't keep it standing upright, it leaks. But I wanted to finish this bottle off so I could get that leaky bottle from leaking anymore. So I'm going to make my little resin pieces here, and I'll probably throw this into time lapse so that you can see how I make my little resin pieces, and then I hand paint them. And I'll just let you enjoy the process from here, and I'll let you enjoy some music until I need to come back in. Enjoy. Okay, we're back, and this is a voiceover because I forgot to take the electric cord out of the phone, and there was this horrible buzzing while I was trying to talk. So at this point, I'm putting some acrylic paint on my brush that I used earlier for resin, which I forgot, and it started soaking it up and not handling my bead very well. And so I end up changing that brush to a different one, and I still don't like it because I think these were actually watercolor brushes and I just used it for acrylic. So I probably ruined those two brushes, but you know, I don't buy expensive brushes for that reason, because I know how I am. Now, if I ever truly bought a nice set that I knew were, you know, professional or mid-grade quality, I would never touch those with this kind of stuff. But as it stands, these are probably these Master Touch from Hobby Lobby or Michael's, I can't remember which. And so I ended up changing to another brush, and you'll see that shortly. But what I'm trying to do is put my base coat on, which is black. Black is good for shading and shadows, and a nice base tone for everything else that I will paint on top of it. I showed you the original rustic beads in the beginning of this video. So when you see me going through phases as I paint this, it goes through a lot of ugly stages until I get it the way that I want it, and then it starts working out. I am getting a little tired. I have been on this project since I stopped for the night, which was roughly around, I don't know, 6:30, 7 o'clock p.m., and it is now 6 a.m. So I've been working on this video for several hours. So this is not a quick process. However, this is also experimental. So if I were to work on these in a more mass production style, which hopefully I get to do, then what I would do is make my my clay beads with all the inclusions in like an assembly line style and fashion. Of course, because these are artisan beads, they'll be different, whether it's the paint tones or the placement of the beads and the inclusions. It's going to be different. So each bead is unique in itself, and they're little pieces of art. And so I am so looking forward to making artisan beads, and I will probably feature these on my jewelry channel. So if you don't know, I do have a jewelry channel. It is Stefador's Jewelry and More. Please go to that channel. The link is in the description box below, where I do unboxings and some jewelry shares and tutorials as well. And I will be showing these beads over there as well. Now, this is my art channel, which is why I chose to make them over here. But I will feature them over there, and I may do a stringing of them to sell or to make jewelry out of, or a bookmark or something. These are specialty beads, so you would really want to decide how you would want to use these. Because like I said, I've already been working on this between 12 to 13 hours. And I don't give up until the project is done. So, and because I don't have a lot of time, I am using my off time from driving to do this. And then I still have my Bible study to do and my book reading. And that I also share with you on my Let's Talk channel. Let's Talk is my Christian channel. It is where I read Christian books, and we have discussions. If you join me in the comments, I asked for folks to send in some testimonies, so I'm patiently and anxiously awaiting some of those to come through. So if you haven't checked that out, please go to Let's Talk. I also have Facebook pages, Let's Talk Real. I have the Roland Studio. I have Stefador's Jewelry and More, all on Facebook pages. Here I'm showing you, just let me break up, I'm showing you that I resined this bead. This was my very first sculpted bead with some half-dry, air-dry clay. So it turned out very bulky, but it was still fun and it's whimsical and I think it's kind of cool. So I went ahead and resined it. And the other one, I'm thinking about sealing it with a matte finish and keeping it rustic. But I also like the coating of the resin for protection because these are clay, air dry clay beads. So I may do that, and acrylic paint. So I think by putting a coat of resin on it will secure them. I don't know of any other way to do it without it being shiny other than using some matte sealer. But there is my base coat, and we will be moving on. Okay, so as much as I don't want to use my gouache, I'm going to have to use my white gouache because I need to see the details of this piece. And the black is just a little hard, so I'm dry brushing a coat of gouache on because my white titanium acrylic tube, my cheap little, I got the Essentials brand. I think that's a Walmart brand, but they're small. They fit in my truck without having to carry a bunch of little bottles. And so that's why I have them. But I needed to dry brush some highlights so I could see what I was doing with my piece. There we go. And I needed to see those details so I knew what step I was taking first. So I'm trying to dry brush the gouache. The gouache is very wet. So it's taken me, I tried to get just a little bit on my brush because all I want is the highlights. And that bead looks pretty cool as a black and white bead in and of itself. But that's not where we're going with it. I'll be right back. On my palette, I added red, orange, yellow ochre, and lemon yellow for now because, like this bead, to get the rustic colors, I want to layer this. So I'm going to start with red, and I need to get my actual paintbrush that I'm going to use. I'm going to use my little tiny detailer because this one doesn't have a lot of space in between. And I spritzed my my acrylics with some, oops, I left my, oh, it doesn't matter, it doesn't work. My titanium is done for. I spritzed my acrylic paints with some water to keep them a little moist because these are a little dried out. They're just cheap acrylics I got from Walmart, the Essentials brand. I don't remember when I bought them. I think 2018 is when I bought them. Not to put a too fine a point on it, but they're in my truck. They sit up top. It gets hot. It gets cold when I leave my truck. And I need to back up. When I leave my truck, so you can see what I'm doing. When I leave my truck and I go home, or if I'm in a hotel for whatever reason, my paints and the materials stay in the truck and they deal with all the elements of cold or hot. So unlike your house, you know, I don't have a steady temperature unless I'm always staying in the truck, which I do 90% of the time. So, however, though, over the years, it takes a toll on my product, and that's okay because, you know, it's just the way it is. I don't know if you noticed, but this right here, like the other one, is a little ladybug. So I'm going to go ahead and paint her red. And I didn't mean to cover that little black mark, but that's okay. We'll base coat the whole ladybug there. And then I will paint details on that ladybug a bit later. But I'm also trying to use my little tiny detailer, and I need a little water. Because it's a little thick. These paints are old. But anyways, this looks like a little stone style, doesn't it? I love it. I could totally move forward and be happy with a stone style bead here. But that's not what we're going for today. Today, oh, there's a little mushroom too, so we'll just go ahead and paint that one. I'm going to end up losing these two pieces. If I'm not careful, I'm not going to be able to differentiate it. And I'll have to do another brush coat of something lighter, like white again. But I am doing the base of my bead red in the negative spaces. And I did attempt to sculpt with that clay again, but my problem is I'm always in a hurry. And with that being said, if you noticed in the fast forward video, I had a lot of glue and clay on my fingers and hands, which takes a toll on the on the process too, because it makes the clay stick to my hands when I don't want it to. But that's okay. We got through it. I'm trying to get through all of this, trying to see the details, and I like to leave some of those dark spots too for highlighting. So this is what I can see right now. And without cleaning my brush, I'm going to add a little orange red to the piece. This thing keeps blurring out on me. Is that blurry? I hope not. Okay, so I'm doing a little orange red. And that's why I like acrylic, because I can just change right over the top of that other one and still be okay. Now, I'm not trying to totally lose all the red. I'm just trying to create layers for tones. And we can always put more red back in if we need to, but this is just the process that I like taking when I'm creating layers on a piece. And it'll help me differentiate that ladybug and that mushroom that we have on standby waiting for us to paint. There we go. And I'm also trying to stay in frame. Pull that back there. And focus. And I'm just kind of dabbing it in the crevices. And we're just creating a rustic layer. Still want the red to show a little bit through, but we're just gonna step it up in color, and we're going with the yellow ochre, and we're just gonna kind of blend that yellow ochre into the red and orange red for a little lighter tone. So I picked up yellow ochre, which you couldn't see because I do have it zoomed in so much, but that's okay. I'm telling you what it is. And it also shows that you don't have to have expensive paints. This is, again, the Essentials brand, I believe, from Walmart. I don't remember what I paid for it, but I want to say like $10. Now, granted, they have dried out on me, but it's been a few years, 2-3 years. I'm not sure what it's been for certain, but I'm thinking at least 2 years old. And in a very unfriendly environment for art supplies. Okay, that's looking pretty cool. It actually looks like a little bit of fire underneath, doesn't it? I like that. And then I'm going to go back over that dry spots with the yellow ochre again for some highlighting in the center. I'm keeping it more to the center stuff, so I still want that red and yellow ochre and whatnot to come through. And the orange red, rather. But I'm definitely putting a lighter tone around the acrylic pieces. I'm loving this. I'm loving this process. I love bead making. It gives you full creativity. And because I love to make jewelry, it gives you one-of-a-kind pieces as well. If you chose to use this, let's say a journal dangle, a fairy journal, a fairy garden, or just a garden bead. Now I'm going to go with a little more highlight. My yellow is quite dried out. I'm going to put some water on it, excuse me, and get a little bit of this yellow. I don't want to lie, I just want to highlight. So let me just get in. That yellow is dried out. See, these are old. These are old. But let me get some of that yellow in here to tone it up. One more again. One more again. Tone it up. See? That thing looks like it's got lava. Fireball. Sunset. Sunset. That's what it's reminding me of. Sunset. A fireball sunset scene in the little garden. I got a hold of that ladybug head. I'm tired. Oops. But that's okay. I like that variation of shading coming through. Let me see if I can highlight just a little bit more with that bright yellow, that lemon yellow. There we go. Let me see if we can get into any of this. It doesn't really look like it, but I'm going to try. A little bit of yellow there, bam, bam, bam. Okay, so now what we have to do, I want to add a little white. And I just want to mix that with that soft yellow, or make a soft yellow with that white. Okay, I got near some black somewhere. Not cool, not bad, not bad. It's good for shading. It's okay. It can be a happy mistake if you let it be. But we are going to get some of this dried up old yellow away from this black. Let me just come over here with a little more white. There we go. A little milky yellow. Very pale yellow. I like that. Now we're going to highlight there. And then I'm going to dab it with my fingers just to soften it out a little. There we go. Very soft yellow in there just for some major highlight there. But I like dabbing it with my finger to spread it. Well, it really looks like some volcano going on or something. It's kind of cool though. Sunset, that's what we're going for. Sunset Garden. Okay, that's our little name for it, I guess. You can tell I'm getting tired. My speech is slowing down. Well, at least I can tell. Okay. Now we're going to change gears.